This is Luke Paulson, the Catholic Conservative, and welcome to the news of the week for April 28th, 2024. And if you enjoy these videos, do not forget to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe for more. President Trump's nap. I chose the username Catholic Conservative because I believe that the conservative position is right on most things. I'm sure there are exceptions if I thought long and hard, but I digress. I will condemn anyone who does the wrong thing regardless of their party. Now let us talk about President Trump nodding off in the middle of his persecution. The fake news has two major takeaways from this. 1. This is proof that he is no better than Sleepy Joe. 2. While President Trump is sleeping, Biden is out campaigning. Addressing the latter, have these people even been paying attention? Brandon's handlers have the press shoot out before they can ask any questions. If they do not do that, they blare the music so that no questions will be asked. If they do neither of these, he will tell a story about how his uncle was eaten by cannibals. Addressing the former, it might be hard not to fall asleep while listening to imaginary happenings. After all, we already have Sloppy Daniel's letter saying that it was a scam. She is one in a long line of women who decide to target men as soon as they get into power. They seek money as well as power and are scum. Speaking of trials, SCOTUS deals with tourists. The Supreme Court is, after all of this time, finally hearing the charges brought up against those who participated in the mostly peaceful protest of January 6th. Justice Gorsuch, who Chuck Schumer called out to target, as you recall, made a very interesting comparison. The unauthorized tourists are being charged with obstructing an official proceeding. He asked if someone who pulled a fire alarm to disrupt an official proceeding would be charged as well. Then there was Black Crimes Matter, the Democrat sit-ins, and countless others. Gorsuch pointed out that each of these should be brought up on the same charges. The persecutor,
don't you mean prosecutor? No!
Could not give a rational reason as to why these were different. Either way, there's a very good possibility that if the persecution of President Trump amounts to nothing, he may not have to free the political prisoners after all. If the Supreme Court rules that they did not break the law, especially after at least one of them got a guided tour, the lower courts will have to let all of them go. Now there is another hearing that our nation's highest court oversaw. SCOTUS Deals with DEI. The Supreme Court had another unanimous decision in favor of a St. Louis police sergeant. This court already struck down affirmative action regarding college admissions, and this case may hold some implications for DEI. After Muldrow was transferred to a less prestigious position, the lower courts ruled that she had to show, quote, significant harm, close quotes, regarding discrimination. Now the Supreme Court has ruled 9-0 that all is necessary to show is, quote, some harm, close quotes. That is where the implications for DEI come into play. Were you forced to sit through a lecture just because you do not have enough melanin? Were you fired just because you do not have enough melanin? Were you forced to sit through a lecture just because of your chromosomes? Were you fired just because of your chromosomes? You might have a case to get compensation. Even if President Trump did nothing else during his term, these rulings will last a while. Granted, another Supreme Court could overturn these, but we need to celebrate our victories when we have them. Speaking of victories, Dr. Phil on trans kids. Dr. Phil recently had a member of the LGBT community on his show that denounced transition surgeries for kids. Let me repeat that. A member of this so-called marginalized community is saying that these surgeries are immoral. We already know that they exist to make money for the hospital.
These surgeries make a lot of money. So females, a male chest reconstruction can bring in $40,000. A patient just on routine hormone treatment, who I'm only seeing a few times a year, can bring in several $1,000s. So that requires a lot of visits and labs. It actually makes money for the hospital. And female to male bottom surgeries, these are huge money makers. Again, I think this has to be an underestimate. They're quoting around $20,000 for a phalloplasty. There's been different things that I've read that said it could be up to $100,000. Dr. Winokur, who's our surgeon, says that there's entire clinics where the entire clinic is supported just by their phalloplasties, and that is like a fraction of the surgeries that they're doing. These surgeries are labor intensive, they require a lot of follow-ups, they require a lot of OR time, and they make money. They make money for the hospital.
Now this former case manager from the Washington University Transgender Center at St. Louis Children's Hospital is sounding the alarm. She saw children crying and begging for parts to be put back on. That is one of the saddest things that I have heard. These doctors do not care as long as they get paid. If they cannot kill the child in the womb, they will mutilate the child with pointless medical procedures. This is why it is known as the medical industrial complex. However, there are also many other issues of the mind that we need to deal with. Middle schoolers fight furries. The idea of dressing up in a costume of an animal is a bit of a weird thing to do, but it used to be relegated to the privacy of one's own home. And the really crazy people who acted like these animals were treated as crazy. Now it is slowly becoming much more mainstream. Children are not allowed to wear distracting clothing or jewelry, but these students are allowed to wear tails that are trip hazards and cat ears. There are other reports that these children scratched or bit at their peers as part of their fursona. Yes, that is the technical term. Students in Utah staged a walkout over this special treatment for furries. Now, I do not think that the kids who walked out should get immunity. Part of breaking the rules means that you need to be willing to take the consequences of your actions. If they get marked absent or have detention, that may be a consequence of them standing up for what is right. Although these kids are hopefully aware that they are probably going to be monitored by the FBI now. Just like when their parents protest at school boards. Colorado mandates abortion. The Colorado Medical Board has decreed that the pill that reverses abortion is unsafe. I disagree. It is completely safe, especially for the child who would otherwise be dead. Simply put, there are two pills for this type of infanticide. But if the mother has only taken the first pill, it can still be reversed until the window of opportunity closes. A Colorado nurse even had action against her for recommending the reversal pill. But a court has ruled that these consequences cannot be levied against her. Now, the question remains. Why would a hospital not want mothers to be able to reverse the decision made to kill their children? I think that it is a legitimate question to ask. I believe that the answer is plain and simple. It was never about choice for the mother, it was about control of the woman. The same people who push for abortion also want to lower the human population.
Now, the world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
I sleep soundly at night, knowing that this woman is saving lives. Jeff Zients controls Brandon. Jeff Zients is the White House Chief of Staff, and according to an undercover reporter with OMG, he is likely the person who has been controlling Brandon this entire time. He is probably the one most upset when Brandon talks to the press and mentions cannibals eating his uncle. When Brandon was first elected, I polled you guys to ask when Kamala Harris would take over. The vast majority, 2/3 in fact, said that he would not be replaced. Brandon is an excellent frontman.
And I used to say, you know what, if I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a frontman or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony, I'd be fine with that.
But maybe it is not Obama whispering into his ear, but his own chief of staff. Gordon Ramsay's squatters. Gordon Ramsay is known for many things. He is a very angry chef and a hardline liberal. Recently, Ramsay had to deal with squatters in a pub that he was trying to sell. While they were eventually removed from his property, this does not change the fact that he voted for the policies that protected these people. Even Fetterman is saying that these people have no rights. I honestly find it hilarious that this is happening to Democrats. Just like sanctuary cities that are falling further into debt with all of the illegals. They have made their bed and now they must sleep in it. However, even if you get them out of your home, you might still have to pay for their housing. Forced to buy homes. The mayor of Los Angeles has a new plea for the wealthy to buy homes for the homeless. According to Meow.com, Mayor Bass has a net worth of $19 million. I'm sure she could buy a few homes herself, but will not lift a finger. I know that things are more expensive in California because it is run by Democrats. But if we assume $400,000 per home, she could buy 47.5 just on her own. Or she could pay for 7,000 to 9,000 months of rent in an apartment. That is 8 to 11 lifetimes worth of housing that she could provide all on her own. The wealthy are supposed to pay their fair share except for those in public office. If I had the money that liberals spend for other people, I would be very wealthy indeed. Speaker Johnson, the traitor. Speaker Mike Johnson is a traitor. Granted, his first act of betrayal was to give money to Israel, but that will never be stopped. Recently, he passed another massive spending bill to give money to Ukraine. How Ukraine affects the United States, I will never know. And buried in that bill, there was also abortion funding. Marjorie Taylor Greene has said some ridiculous things in the past, but I stand with her in ousting Speaker Johnson. If you do not stand with America...
Hey, so long. See you, sucker. Bon voyage. Arrivederci, later, loser. Goodbye. Good riddance. Peace out. Let the doorknob hit you where the good Lord split you. Don't come back round here no more. Hasta la vista. Kick rocks and get the hell out.
However, let us talk about good old-fashioned Democrat traitors. AI drive-through lines. Back in July, I said in part, we have all seen the kiosks at fast food places because of minimum wage increases. Are there any companies that are considering using AI at the drive-thru? Even without science fiction movies warning us, we have opened a can of worms, Pandora's box, and let the genie out of the bottle. Now, not even 1 year later, we actually have fast food places using AI to take orders. I, for one, despise the kiosks, but it seems we may not have much of a choice soon. It is not because I prefer to work with machines. It is because Democrats have raised the wage as a form of social justice so much that this was inevitable. They want to help people so badly that they are worked out of a job so that the bureaucrats feel better about themselves. It really is sickening. Maybe I'm just blowing smoke. Maybe I'm completely off my rocker, but that is just my opinion. And do not forget to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe for more. But before you go, on the left I have last week's video, but you may also enjoy the video on the right.